Welcome back to the Movie Draft House. I'm your host, Mark, joined by co-host Jeff.
What up, Mark?
What'd it do?
Well, you know, we're doing this thing where we watch movies starring actors playing multiple roles. That's what it do.
But before we discuss what we watched this week, we got to plug some music. And the music this month is brought to you by the Los Angeles hip-hop duo Flyana Boss with their song, which is very catchy. I like this song. I really do. Trashboi. And as we are going to discover, Darren Aronofsky is definitely a trash boy.
I hate to say I told you so, but I
So
told
anyways,
you.
you can you can hit the show notes or go down below if you're watching on the YouTube, and you can find all the links to their social media accounts where they're doing big things. They're big TikTok users. They're blowing up. They've already blown up. I've seen their Spotify monthly listeners grow times 3.
Yeah, probably
since-
because of this podcast.
I'm pretty sure it is. I mean, I don't want to, I'm trying to just be modest, all right?
Yeah.
But
I'd be humble
make sure
too had I picked. Anyway, go ahead.
anyways, make sure you're throwing them a follow, subscribe. They're doing big things. We appreciate them allowing us to use their music here on our podcast. Jeff.
Yes, Mark.
What the fuck did we just watch?
We watched one of the biggest, hugest, stinkiest pieces of shit I've ever seen. And I knew it was going to be bad. But what really surprises me, what really drives the point home, is that you also think it's bad. We watched The Fountain from 2006, directed by the aforementioned Darren Aronofsky, a director who I don't know him personally. It's not personal, but I don't like his fucking movies.
He sucks.
That being said, The Wrestler is a good movie. And I'm going to talk about The Wrestler more when we get into this piece of shit and why it sucks and why The Wrestler is good. But it stars Hugh Jackman, who plays multiple characters, maybe, I guess. I mean, I don't really care. And
they're definitely...
he plays
they're definitely
himself.
multiple
Well, he plays the main character, and then he plays this character in a story. Fine, I don't care. I don't want to argue whether it's the theme, because it does far worse things. So, what would you say this story is?
Ultimately it's a story about love and death, I guess, but
a classic trope, a trope that has been explored many times in many films. So, this thing sucks.
Right.
Ultra balls. This is it. This is why I hate these types of films. These artsy, purposefully confusing, metaphorical bullshit that this guy, among others, likes to direct and make. And people swoon over it. And if you honestly like it, great. But
I don't understand how anybody watches this movie and says, "Oh yeah, oh god, I loved it."
Well, I don't want to yuck someone's yum, but I will say, because I'm punching up and saying Darren Aronofsky sucks. But if someone watches and liked it, okay, Drive Angry. If someone watched that and hated it, that's cool. Tell me it sucks and you hate it. I'm not insulting anyone who enjoyed the film. But this thing fucking sucks. And I would like to hear someone tell me why it's good. And actually, inevitably, if you go onto YouTube and you search any movie, pick a movie, right? There will be someone who will tell you why it's good. And especially with these artsy ones, you really have to dig into what the meaning is. But I am convinced, and have been ever since I saw Donnie Darko for the first time, is that these type of movies are just grab bag bullshit thrown on the screen. And you're meant to think that it's deep. And if you're someone like me who's like, this is stupid, it's dumb, it's confusing, you can now be belittled by some arrogant prick who's like, "Oh, you just didn't get it. You don't like to think when you watch movies." No, I like a fucking narrative. I like some shit that has a narrative structure where characters grow and change and the events of their lives cause that, and everything feels natural and makes sense. Like I said, the story of love and death is timeless. It is something that every human being who lives long enough has to deal with the fact that someone they love has died or is going to die.
Right.
And it's something that 1,000 billion movies have dealt with, right? And it's one of the oldest tricks in the book is if you want someone to think your movie's good, you kill off a main character, right? Or, oh, God, they fucking killed who the hell ever, Ned Stark or any of that shit. But
R.I.P.
Rest in peace, Ned Stark, season 1 of. So there's I could name 1 billion movies that do a better job of death and grief.
Sure.
Fucking half of them.
We've watched
Marvel on them. Like, I'm serious. Like the Guardians of the Galaxy. Each one of those movies deals like with death and fear and love and losing your love and getting over it and moving on with life. And it does it so much better while also making room for action set pieces and huge, battles and fight scenes and shit. And it does it better. This movie doesn't have to worry about cramming in some sort of CG spaceship, although it tries doing some weird shit. And it still can't do it. It still can't make me feel compassionate for the characters in the film. I don't understand Hugh Jackman's relationship with Rachel Weisz. I don't know why they're in love. None of it makes sense. They aren't given a chance to build chemistry. And so from a bare bones perspective at filmmaking, something that deals with romance, it fails on the first thing you need to get right. I need to believe that these two people love each other. So when the time comes in the film when they die, I want to boo-hoo cry because I understand what he's losing. You don't get that in this.
The first interaction we get with Rachel Weisz and Hugh Jackman's character in the, I guess, actual real world.
Right. We'll have to get into that.
He's blowing her off. She's like, "Hey, come! It's the first snow of whatever."
Sorry, I'm so tempted to just go ahead. No, not you. Okay, you see that scene how many times?
Yeah.
Over and fucking over and over.
Yeah.
Like, so is this guy a genius? He might be, because he got away with filming a scene multiple times and then just putting it in the same damn movie to extend the runtime. Like,
and the movie was only an hour and a half.
And the executives bought it because they're in the group of people who don't want to be like, "Oh, I don't fucking get this movie." They want to look smart in front of the artsy dipshit. But the problem is the movie isn't good and doesn't make sense on any fucking level. Okay, let me give you a positive. Hugh Jackman is a really good actor, and he tries his damnedest to make this bullshit work. He tries really hard, and I can't fault him for one problem that this movie has. It's not his fault, and it's not Rachel Weisz's fault. They try.
No, it is 100% the direction of this film, and the choices that are made within the screenplay to just kind of shortchange every single story set piece. All right. Rachel Weisz's character in the real world, quotes.
So let's establish some time, okay? We have modern time, then we have bubble future, and then we have storybook past.
Yep, okay.
Just so we get our language together.
Yeah. And so modern time, Rachel Weisz has cancer. All right. And Hugh Jackman is a surgeon, brain surgeon.
Yeah, or like a cancer researcher or something. Yeah,
something. But he's, operating on monkeys, chimpanzees. I don't know.
They aren't
don't
chimps,
come after me.
But they are a primate of some kind.
Are they okay?
Yeah,
We'll
they're
just
definitely a
classify them
primate.
as
That's the only thing I
primates.
could be confident of.
I'm not trying to be super correct on this podcast.
Hey,
so
we're not
I don't
botanists.
care. Right. So what I completely didn't understand about this film, and it's one of many, was why we didn't get more modern. I get the allegory and
Oh, you got it? You figured
no,
out
no,
what
I don't.
No,
No, I
fucking
don't
didn't.
get it.
Exactly.
No,
you get
I
that
don't
it was
get
trying to be
but
allegory.
Yes. I get that. Darren Aronofsky was like, "Hey, let's try to create some symbolism and do some artsy fucking shit." But what I don't understand is that he took the two best aspects of his film and he completely threw them in the trash because he wanted to tell some fairy tale
I hate
bullshit,
this movie.
and then he wanted to go into a fucking teardrop with what's the guy from what's
Teardrop.
damn it.
Are you talking about the bubble?
Yeah, the bubble, whatever.
The only guy
I don't
that's
give a
there
fuck.
is fucking Hugh Jackman, right?
But then he's having a fucking orgasm with a goddamn tree.
oh God, yeah, that happens. That happens in this movie.
And he stabs it with a knife and like it jizzes on him. And
Dude, it gives him. He's a cum guzzler in this because he sits there and suckles at the teat of this tree, and then this is at the end though, right? Who gives a fuck? And then all these plants grow out of him. It actually would be an effective scene in a horror movie where there's
Sure.
a plot and a story or something's going wrong with the earth, and this guy, and he's the first, something in a different movie could be fine. But it's not. It's in this piece of shit where.
That lose you?
No,
Oh.
no, you lost me when you picked this hunk of garbage.
I don't understand why he just didn't make a movie about love and death in the modern fucking time. I don't understand. I don't understand trying to create separate symbolism behind love and death. I don't understand trying to create symbolism out of death and returning to the earth and what we come
the
out of.
problem is, and you're saying the correct thing. What you're saying, we should have got more of the modern, because that's the terrestrial stuff that we as human beings get, right?
And that's the best part of this fucking film.
We understand what it means to have a loved one in the hospital, right?
Yeah.
And I'm someone who's been through this. I've sat bedside while my wife was in the hospital, and I didn't know if she was going to make it. So in a lot of ways, this should fucking work on me, right? It should take me back, but it doesn't, because all the other shit, like the things that he does to try to elevate or make this a allegorical piece of art, take away from the human aspect of the storytelling and turn it into it's about Darren Aronofsky at that point. Like, look what I'm doing. Look at my fucking painting. Look at this shit. Isn't this crazy? I made this. And when the filmmaker is now in front of the camera, what's the word I want to use? Allegorically speaking, when he does this stuff and tries to show you how neato his fucking brain works or how bizarre it is, it's him getting in the way of his own story. And that's what happens here. And when you have Rachel Weisz and Hugh Jackman, and they could fucking act circles around just about anyone, and you blow it. You blow it big time. And you get this. And you get whole segments that take place in a fantasy medieval world or something, somewhere with the Mayans and all this, that doesn't actually pertain to anything.
Right.
And, okay, it's an allegory. You don't understand. That's his deal. He's the director. He's the guy who's supposed to make this shit make sense. And he refuses to do so. And it hurts the film in the end. Boy, this is cathartic. Whew.
Yeah, get it all out. the movie Draft House, where you can come and just it's
Boy,
it's therapy for the soul.
Legit feels good to get this off my chest. Like this is an awful film.
Yeah. So I'm watching, and I had to stop this film like 2 separate times. The first time I was like, "What the fuck?"
So when did you check out? Right, like because you said something in
Oh,
the text.
it was almost immediately.
So I checked out when it cut to him looking like Professor X in what looks like a meditation stance, and he's bald and in space. I knew at that moment we were in for some bullshit. Like I rolled my eyes. I was like, "Damn it, Mark! Damn it! I knew this is what we were getting. I knew it, and it's here. And now I've got to sit through an hour and a half of this bullshit."
What's the Watchman, Dr. Manhattan, or
yeah, something like that. I don't really know. I didn't like the Watchmen.
That guy. I know. I checked out after I realized, probably about after 30-35 minutes.
I thought you were going to say seconds, and I was going to kiss you.
I was like, wait a minute. None of this fucking makes sense. And we keep bouncing back and forth between these different stories. And they all revolve around Rachel Weisz's character. But
she's not the character she's not playing the queen. Isn't that a different actress?
It's
her. That's different to me.
But she's veiled most of the time.
Yeah.
And it's Hugh Jackman's character chasing her in the Mayan temple-esque, fantasy world, whatever. And so like I'm trying to think, I'm like, okay, what is this dude trying to tell us with this story? And I'm like, okay, so he's chasing her love? I don't fucking know. I don't give a fuck.
The butts,
it's
man.
Because
this movie is the butts. Like, so the Ellen
I thought you were
Burstyn
talking about like ass.
Well, maybe that would make sense at least, and be human. But Ellen Burstyn's back. She was in that piece of shit you made us watch before.
Yeah, Requiem for a Dream.
Thank you.
She was nominated and won an Oscar for that.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. She still. It was, again, not really her fault. That movie is a piece of shit. But we disagree on it. That's fine. But she's here again.
She is here, and she's not bad here.
No, nobody's bad. Like, there's no point in the movie where you can. That's bad acting. And another thing is Aronofsky is. I don't know if it's him or someone else, but his cinematography and the way he frames a shot is really cool, right? Like, I get that there's talent there. Like, if you look at any of the screenshots of the movie, you'll notice, A, fuck, this is going to be pretentious, but B, you'll be like, well, it's beautifully framed, right? Like, that part of filmmaking he gets.
There's a whole shot where after Rachel Weisz's character dies, and they're doing a kind of a memorial service in the middle of the snow, and everybody's wearing black.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really cool shot, is because it's just drastic opposites, and I agree with you. He is talented in different ways when it concerns filmmaking. Stories. I don't.
So let's talk about The Wrestler.
Okay. Yeah, let's go.
Which came out after this, and in my opinion, is a good film.
Okay.
But if you watch that movie, everything that happens in it is terrestrial. It's grounded. It makes sense. It's a guy who's down on his luck, and it's still dark and brooding and a sad film. And I personally, that's not my taste, right? I don't really like leaving a movie depressed, but I get why some people might want that or like that in their movies, because in real life things don't always work out, you know.
I think The Wrestler is his most grounded film. Looking at his filmography,
yeah. Because then you got Mother.
I think it's absolutely.
I haven't seen The Whale. The Whale looks like it could be a grounded.
I haven't
piece.
seen it either yet.
But I don't know. And
I mean, he did Noah, Black Swan, and I mean,
right.
The
And
Wrestler is by far, I think,
okay.
his most realism centered.
Oh, for sure, because there's nothing supernatural at all in The Wrestler. And plus, I'm literally wearing a pro wrestling T-shirt right now. I'm a wrestling guy. Like
Take it
the
off.
wrestling corner is for real. And so that's why I saw The Wrestler, because I'm a wrestling fan. And having a movie about a character that's a wrestler that's washed up in this story, I can point to other wrestlers that have lived that story. Now, like Jake the Snake Roberts, Scott Hall, they've lived that story. There's a parallel to that. Now, fortunately, both of those guys kind of got out of their tailspin, which the character in The Wrestler doesn't. But the whole point is that's a good movie that tells a grounded story. The dialogue is realistic. The acting is pitch perfect. And it all comes together. And again, I'm not going to ever sit through The Wrestler again unless you make us watch it. But the only reason for that isn't because it's bad. It's because that's not my kind of movie. I don't like being sad at the end of a movie, or at least bad sad, which is what that is. Good sad is like you when someone dies and you understand the love that's there and why it hurts. Like if you watch a movie and someone loses
Tony Stark.
sure,
Tony,
to go back to Marvel.
Tony Stark. Yeah.
And everyone's standing around remembering him, and you remember the good things. But in fucking Darren Aronofsky's world, you die alone. And that's just not true for a lot of people. Some people it is, and some people want to see that kind of movie. I don't. Again, my whole point is to say that Darren Aronofsky could make a good movie. He could make a really tragic, heart-rending, dark fucking movie about love, cancer, and death that will make you want to go home and rip your eyeballs out and win Oscars and shit. He's capable. But the problem is he wants to make movies like this and Mother, where it's just bullshit thrown at the screen, right? And it's so allegorical that no one is allowed into the front door of the movie. We're all kept at an arm's distance from whatever the hell this guy is trying to tell us. And he likes it that way.
You're absolutely correct. I don't like I've seen Black Swan. I've seen most of this guy's filmography, and I there is nothing in it. Like I look at Noah. I remember I went in the movie theater and saw Noah.
Yeah, that's a
big
weird
budget.
one. I haven't seen it because
Right.
it is a big budget film that
Yeah,
feels like it's going to be. Of course, it's got the Gladiator in it, Russell Crowe, but it feels like it's going to be in that vein. So did he get weird with it?
I honestly I don't remember, but I don't remember if he got fucking weird like he got in this movie. But I just I look at his filmography, I'm almost like, bro, what are you trying to do? What are you trying, like with Christopher Nolan, you can point to tons of different directors and say, hey, they make this kind of movie, and every time they make this kind of movie, it's good. Scorsese, pretty much, anytime he makes a gangster movie, good. He makes a movie about, fraudulent gangsters, Wolf of Wall Street, good. But
Ambulance drivers, bad.
you're right. But like Christopher Nolan, another filmmaker that just kind of pours his everything into the technical aspect of filmmaking, and most of the times you're getting a good product. You're entertained. You get a solid film. At the bare minimum, you're getting a solid film. With Darren Aronofsky, I'm just like, bro, I liked Requiem for a Dream. I thought the story was good. I enjoyed the acting. I watched this movie. I've seen Black Swan, Noah, Mother. I'm just like, bro, what are we doing? Like, where are you at with your filmography, and like, what are you actually trying to be as a director? Is because I honestly don't know. And Hugh Jackman in this film is very emo. He's got a very emo haircut. But he, like you said, acts his ass off. He is, I mean, he essentially is the film.
Yeah, because he's in all of it pretty much.
Right. But like, he's asked to do too much, I think. And the film is broken by Darren Aronofsky saying, "Hey, Hugh, we want to kind of show you in 3 different stories, but you're kind of playing the same character. But they're really 3 separate characters, so you kind of just give us your all." And man, Hugh Jackman's to credit, he acts as that when we get modern day story.
When he has to be sad about the tree dying, if
Right.
you replace the tree in that scene with a human person, it works, right? Like, because he's selling it hard, right? That it's in a good movie, that would be a heart-wrenching scene. But no, he's actually crying about a tree. So that's what we're supposed to get. And it goes back to the same thing. He's gotten in the way of his own storytelling with this artsy bullshit, and the fact that he's crying over a tree as opposed to his wife is why it doesn't relate. Piece of shit.
It's, I mean, to be fair, it's the tree of life now.
Oh, God. Man, it's not like that isn't the oldest fucking allegory ever. Like, literally, Genesis.
Right. And so that's the thing, is that I want to say that Darren Aronofsky is probably somewhat a religious man.
Yeah, I don't
And
know. Maybe.
well, I mean,
I don't
just
know.
but you look at his filmography, and there's a lot of films that have to do with biblical topics, and Noah's one, Here Are the Fountains one, Mother. There's different.
It's supposed to be like
biblical,
Mother Nature or some stupid shit.
Yeah, right. And so like,
Oh, God.
I don't understand why directors like this get into this realm of, hey, I can only make things that make people go, what the fuck?
Yep.
Right. And I don't understand that. I don't get it at all. At least with like a director like Christopher Nolan, he's making you go, can they do that? Is
I've
that
never seen
possible
Tenet, but wasn't
in
that a
real
what the
life?
fuck movie?
It was a what the fuck movie, but it was like also technically sound. So you're like, is that fucking possible in real life? I don't know. Can they really? Can they do that? Oh shit, that kind of makes sense. They might be able to fucking do that, but it's like here in these films, like and Black Swan. I don't know if you've ever seen Black Swan.
I turned it off. I hate this guy's movies. Like, I started it because it had all the buzz, and
Right.
I got like 20 minutes in. And I said, this is not for me.
Well, it is held to, and all of his films pretty much are held together by central performances. All right. I would not say any of his films are screenplay films. They're held together by performances of the people acting in them, and Natalie Portman is fantastic in it. Mila Kunis is fantastic in The Black Swan, but just the supernatural aspect of the Black Swan movie, I'm just like, bro, I don't need all this fucking bullshit. But just tell me the Tanya Harding story. All right. Tell me.
Have you seen I, Tonya?
Yes, and that's good.
Yeah, it's a good
That's
movie.
a good fucking movie.
Other than
All right,
some
Margot-
of the CG where they superimpose her head, Margot
Oh,
Robbie's
yeah,
head
yeah.
on the stunt skater, and it's just like looks
But listen,
awful.
I'll watch anything with Margot Robbie. I saw the Barbie.
I want
movie.
to see Barbie so bad.
Oh, it's good.
I like that you went Team Barbie and not Team Oppenheimer. I appreciate that about you.
No, right. I'm not going to go sit 3 hours to watch
That's the other thing.
a bunch of dialogue.
You're
I'm
gonna
sorry,
have a
Christopher
lot
Nolan.
more fun fucking watching Barbie.
and I did. But no, it just these films are made, and you said it. You said it at the top of the podcast. These films are made for a certain audience, and we aren't it.
Yeah,
And,
by a mile.
And I can get behind. Hey, not everything is for everybody. But what I don't understand is when a film director goes purposely against the grain and says, "I dare you
to try to watch this bullshit.
To understand it. To understand it. I dare you to understand what is happening and be on board with it." Like I'm reading through the Rotten Tomato reviews for
good.
this.
And
I'm just
host the pretension there.
No, I just want to read like some of the bad reviews. So Roger Ebert says, "I will concede the film is not a great success. Too many screens of blinding lights. Too many transitions for their own sake. Abrupt changes of tone." Roger Ebert. All right. We got Brian Eggert. "The real tragedy of The Fountain is that Aronofsky doesn't allow his audience to exist with his characters. And the emotional weight of the stories is squandered on an overt symbolism."
Yep.
Boom.
That is
He summed
perfectly
it up.
stated.
Right. I just and then I read some of the positive reviews. And this dude Mark Kermode from the BBC Radio, he goes, "Bonkers, adventurous, silly, ambitious, charming, foolish. It's all those things, and it'll be gone in a week. But it's not mainstream boro fare,
What the hell does that mean?
and for that it should be celebrated."
Nah,
Get
it
the
should be
fuck
put
outta
in the
here.
dumpster. Just because
somebody
it's shit.
Hey, somebody paid that motherfucker to write that.
Yeah,
All right,
like,
and that's bullshit. It's because that motherfucker stole some money from somebody.
I don't know that that part of it's true. Some people, I don't know. I knew this wasn't for me, and I hate being vindicated. Actually, I really don't like that I disliked this, and I'll point everyone back to our episode on Karate Kid. And the one prior where he drafted the movie and I just was not on board. I was like, I can't believe we're having to watch this. And I didn't want to watch it. And then I watched it and it riveted me.
Yeah.
I was hoping maybe this could do that, but he's, and I don't want to say he's not a good director, but when he gets a blank check, free will to make the movie he wants to make, it's a piece of shit. Damn near every time. And
Yeah.
I personally would say he's my least favorite director. I cannot stand his work. I really hate it. Harmony Korine is in that list as well, but holy shit, I can't. This guy's movies are balls city.
Ball City, population U.
Aronofsky.
All right. I mean, like, I don't know what the fuck else
All
to
right,
say
so
about
I
it.
got a question, and it's
Yeah.
a question you actually posed. Is this the worst movie we've watched for the pod? So if you don't know, or you haven't listened to very many episodes, collectively, Mark and I agree that The Clouds of Sils Maria is the worst film we've watched for the podcast. So let's take the remainder of our
correct.
time weighing the two films and make a decision. Is
Okay.
The Fountain worse than, or is it a number two? Before we even go that far, I want you to compare it to Ravenous, which you say is the second worst film we've ever watched.
Oh, no. Ravenous is 10 times better than this.
Fair enough.
Hands down.
Yeah, I agree
Hands-
completely. I actually kind of like Ravenous. It's weird and funky, but earnest at least. So it is definitely, I agree, one of the bottom worst. Okay, I got The Hookup 2.
That's at least watchable because it's just bad.
Yeah. Real quick, I got The Hookup 2 and Ravenous. Which one's better?
Ravenous.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, The Fountain and The Clouds of Sils Maria.
Okay.
Where's your head at?
So, yeah. So the Clouds of Sils Maria, cardinal sin was that it had nothing to say.
Yes.
And so for that, it is just flat boring and pretentious while being boring.
Yeah. But it did have
it had what's her face's Bush.
a story arc. Well, we could talk about Bush and
okay.
Thong. I mean, it wasn't a good story. It was,
No, it wasn't a good
but
story.
at least it was linear and cohesive.
It was.
You're like,
right. You could
she's
follow
an
every
actress.
step.
She's gonna act in a play. And she's dealing with the fact that she's not hot shit anymore, and someone else is going to play her role, and she's getting jealous, and that's the story there. Now, again, you said it perfectly. It didn't say anything. I guess at some point she gets okay with growing older, maybe, but it's done in such a slapdash piece of shit, pretentious way. I can't stomach it. Now, The Fountain is pretentious, so. Do you think the pretension is a wash? Do you think they're equally pretentious?
Yes, but they're different. They're pretentious in different ways.
I agree.
Like Darren Aronofsky is trying to be pretentious in symbolism and allegory, while whoever the fuck directed Sils Maria is just
that Patrick
trying.
Loser? I don't remember.
Oh, is that Patrick Loser? Oh, it might be.
I'll Google. Keep talking.
But that film is just it's trying to say a lot about age and knowing when you are just not that person anymore. But it's just it's done in such a boring, ham-fisted way. I'm just like, I don't give a fuck, dude.
Yeah.
I don't care. And so I think the pretentious is a wash.
Okay. It's directed by Oliver Assayas.
Oh, the ass.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
gotcha.
SSS guy. Oh, I accidentally, well, I didn't accidentally. I went to the site and I'm seeing clips of the film and I'm getting an anxiety attack. But if I click the back button, it takes me back to The Fountain, which is not any better.
Oh, fuck.
So, give me a definitive answer. What is the worst
All
film we've watched for the podcast?
I think it's
Ooh,
still
that's
Sils
a
Maria.
long pause.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I think it's still Sils Maria, because there are aspects of The Fountain where I'm like, man, that probably could be a good film if it was by itself. Or man, there was really good acting in that. I didn't think there was great acting in Sils Maria.
No. Go back and listen to that episode. I put clips in that one of just the shit you have to sit through in that movie. It's awful. And
right. It's
go ahead.
I just think that there is more bad in Sils Maria than this, but it deserved a conversation. It's because this movie is trash, and it is trash for all of the wrong reasons, and ultimately it is it's a Mount Rushmore of bad for the podcast.
Woo. And here I thought that I Got the Hookup 2 as a lock for worst movie of the year, and I was going to be shamed by doing it 2 years in a row. But here you come, Mark, delivering this turd to our doorstep. I agree. I think for all the reasons you said, Sils Maria is slightly the worst film, and I mean it's by a nose. And the thing that redeems The Fountain is the fact that Hugh Jackman's in it, and everyone loves him, and he really, really tries to make this work. And there's also some kind of cool visuals, but the problem with the visuals is they're all washed out with this urine color. Like everything in this movie is piss yellow. And if you go and look at the cover for The Wrestler, it's piss yellow. Aronofsky loves piss yellow. Boy, it's close though, man. I think if you catch me on a different day, I might say it's worse, but for the sake of posterity, I'm gonna say Sils Maria is still the worst. But man, I think if I had to watch them back to back, I'd probably just give up watching movies. I'd just quit.
I don't see how you could. I don't see how you could watch those back to back.
They are soul-stealing films.
Fuck that. Jeff, what are we watching next week?
Oh, fuck. Thank God. And I think what I'm kind of grateful for, Mark, is that you had to watch The Fountain. And that maybe it will put you in the right headspace to watch Double Impact. Double your Van Damme. Get some Bolo Ying inside you. And maybe you'll just be like, you know what? I just want to put on a movie, turn my brain off. I don't want a movie that's talking down to me. You know? I want a movie that's just there to entertain me for an hour and a half. And I think if you come in with that mind state, you're going to enjoy Double Impact. 2 Van Dammes, 1 Bolo Ying. All right, that's all I got. It's a great movie. It's one of my favorite Van Damme movies. It's in the top 5 probably.
Listen, it's directed by a man by the name of Sheldon Lettich. All right, and he also directed Lionheart, which
is the one you liked.
Is a recommend on the podcast.
Yeah.
And that's the only other film I've seen. He also has a film that's got 3.6 on the IMDb rating called Last Patrol.
I don't know what that is.
It's a 3.6, bro.
I don't care.
Good.
That
It's got Dolph Lundgren in it.
Yeah, that's a different kind of 3.6, right? That's the kind of one where I might put
it's
that
out of
on
10.
and actually, review it for a 5-minute review.
Okay, let's go.
I might send me the name of the movie. I might do it because I just
Okay.
If you follow YouTube, they should be up by now. But I watched a perennial classic in 12 Angry Men, and I today, as of this recording, watched the remake. So I'm gonna put that together at some point.
Nice.
So, but yeah, I'm so excited to just fucking watch Van Damme spin kick some shit. Like this is my happy place. I want a guy who spin kicks some shit.
Spin kicks.
Also,
I mean, who can't be happy with spin kicks?
There is nudity. Now, I can't remember if Van Damme's butt's in here.
Shit.
But there is a sex scene. I remember that very clearly from my youth.
Fucking go.
Yeah, man.
Anyways, I want to give another shout out to the music this month. Flying a Boss with their song Trashboi. Hopefully we can redeem the pod next week and not be trash boys with our recommendations. But you hit the show notes, get all the links to all their stuff. They're doing big things. We appreciate them allowing us to use their music here on the podcast. And if you want to follow the podcast on all of their social media, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. You're watching us on YouTube probably. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, by the way, so you don't miss any future content. But you can find us at Movie Draft House. We're wide ranging, worldwide as what's that guy would say, Pitbull. Mr. Worldwide. Anyways, you can follow Jeff on Twitter. And tell him, hey Jeff, you have so many podcasts. We love what you're doing. What will you think of next?
Oh, I don't know. Probably something with Van Damme.
But you can find him on Twitter at Podcast by Jeff.
Podcast by Jeff. That's me, yes. If you want to get in touch with Mark, there's a couple of places, really. If you just go to YouTube, he's all over that shit. He's pumping out 5-minute reviews like they only take 5 minutes to make. But you could also keep in touch with him by going over to I Heard You Liked on Twitter to get his up-to-minute hot takes.
That's right. Jeff, what do we... we already discussed what we're watching last week. Anyways, you have any words of wisdom?
Yeah, this comes from Michael Atkinson on Rotten Tomatoes. It's difficult to recall another American film that, in pursuing a passionate and personal vision, goes so maddeningly, uproariously wrong. This movie, no, end quote, this movie's a piece of shit. That's me. I'm out.